everyone and welcome to a new pouring adventure. In today's video I'm going to try to make a black hole effect. So something like a black center and like sunlight and matter is falling into it, which you will see in the end is totally not what came out of this. But I love the end result, so let's just continue with the pre-talk of the pouring. And I still often get questions about the acrylic paints that I use and the materials that I use in general through mixing my paints. Well, if you follow me longer, you already know which paints I use, which are the Athena brand, and it's all linked down below in the description box. And as of now, you can only get these paints in Europe and the UK, so they do not yet ship to the US, but they're working on it, and once they are shipping there, you can find them on your Amazon by just looking up Athena. So yeah, that's something that you can do every now and then. And other than that, I've worked with many mediums so far. I used the Liquitex pouring medium, which I did not like that much working with because it was too fluid for me. And I worked with a thin acrylic binder, which worked kind of great, but it still was kind of thin. And I used pretty much of it, so it was still cheaper than the float roll was, but it did not work that great than the float roll did. I worked with the float roll, as so many of you and us did, and it works kind of great, but it is quite pricey as well. So I get 2.5 liters here for about 38–40 euros, which is quite pricey for the amount that you're going to use for pours that you're making. So I also looked for alternatives. I used PVA glue for a couple of pours, which is way thicker than the float roll, but has the disadvantage that you cannot really thin it down that much because this breaks the chemical bonds and you get cracks and paint ripped apart, which of course works for the pouring itself. It looks kind of pretty, it works like every other pouring medium itself. But when it's dry, my paints got cracks and ripped itself apart, which I of course hated to have. So I could have used no water or only very little water, but then my paints would have been too thick and I wouldn't be able to make some decent pours. So this fell over the edge as well. And just a couple of months ago, I was shopping at my Bösner store, which is a local art company in Germany and one of the largest, I think. It's also art material vendor, and they had an acrylic binder as well. I wanted to give it a try and ordered a couple of these bottles and fell instantly in love with them. In case you wonder what acrylic binder is, this is basically the stuff the acrylic paints are made of, but having no pigments in there. So this is a white liquid, so to speak. This stuff is rather thick, so I can thin it down with water without killing the bonds of the chemicals, which is great. So I can stretch this even more than any other medium that I could use. It only is about half of the price that the float roll is, so this is an even bigger plus. And it's just great. Once this stuff is dried, the complete artwork looks like it's varnished already. And I really love it. I can thin it down. I've never had any cracks or paint ripping since I'm using this. Awesome stuff. But I'm pretty sure you cannot get this in the US, so I don't think they ship there. But just give it a try and look around your Amazon and your art stores or craft stores if they have acrylic binders themselves, and give it a try. It really worked great for me, and it should be somewhat on the cheaper side as well. So just look around, give it a try and see if this works for you. So when I mixed my paints, which is almost the same procedure, 2/3 of the binder and 1/3 of the paint. This also depends on the thickness of your paint that you have and what kind of color you actually use. So basically you can use whatever acrylic paint you would like to use. You can even use metallics with this. So this acrylic binder dries clear, as most of the mediums that you can use dries clear. You just should have an acrylic paint with a decent amount of pigments so that it dries solid, so to speak. If we have acrylic paints with less pigments, they are more or less see-through in the end and do not have that opaque coverage, and especially in the pours you will see the underlayer paint through. So if you have a yellow and you want to have the yellow effect and have somewhat darker color underneath, it will more or less with each brand dry a bit translucent, so you see the underlayer through a bit more than with a red, for example, or with the white or whatever. But if you have really cheap acrylic paints and not so much pigment in there, and they exist, you will have more of these underlayers showing through. Yeah, so have a decent paint that you have tested, but I think most of you do have their favorite brand already. Yeah, so this is actually the most important part that you have to consider, and also that all acrylic paints dry darker than they are in the wet form. Because the acrylic binder is, at least all acrylic binders that I have met so far, are a whitish liquid, so they are white when they're liquid and they dry clear, and this is the reason why each of these acrylic paints look brighter, and once the paint is drying, the white of the acrylic binder is just going away and you get the pigment that you have in the paint itself. And this was way much longer than I want to talk about the paints and the behavior of the paints. So finally, let's go back to the pouring itself. As I said, I wanted to try to create a black hole effect. So I was going for a ring pour. Again, yes, I know, if you ever get tired of me making ring pours and trying such things, let me know and I will make some other stuff in between so far. But again, this is such a versatile technique and I want to give it a try. Yeah, I mixed up my paints, I used way too much of them. So for this attempt I thought I really will need much of the paint to get the effect that I wanted. In reality it would have been just the opposite, having way less paint and stretching it more. Well, I considered this to be a learning curve video. And I just poured it onto my canvas. This is a 50 by 50 centimeter canvas. I swirled the cup a bit more than I would normally do in a ring pour. So just hold your cup still and let the paint flow out. So I swirled it a bit more to get the effect that I was looking for. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. And once I tilted it, I saw that this was way too much paint and it will never ever look the way I intended. There was no way I could have made this look. So I just tilted it even more to see what I can make of it, and most of the paint ran over the edge. But no worries, although this looks like I've wasted a ton of paints, I always scrape them up and put them into my jar, and I use them as underlayer paint for my next pours. So I do not really waste paints. I told this before, but just in case you're new here. Yeah, and this is the result that I got in the end. So yeah, what do you think it looks like? I really like the design, so I did not expect something like this, so something pretty comes out of my attempt here, but I really liked it. I liked the color transition, I liked that at least I had some greens. I really rarely work with greens, and if you remember the beginning of the video, I had no green mixed. This always happens to me. I am so addicted to blues. And I wanted to try a yellow there because of sunlight falling into the black hole. I always get green. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I of course also show you the final result in the end of the video where I put it outside in the sunlight to have the exact colors and it is already varnished. You will also notice perhaps that it looks like as if there is glitter sitting on there, which is not. It is just the sunlight hitting the varnish and the structure of the canvas, which is still showing through a bit. Yeah, so basically this was it for this video demonstration. I'm really curious what you are thinking about the end result and how you like it. When I look at it, I really cannot decide if this looks more like a sandbank, so like shallow water and transitioning to a sandbank, or yeah, actually this is everything that I come up with. But I like the design and it's nice and it's cool and it's on my Etsy if you want to have it for your home. So again, thank you so much for your time, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me below in the comment box as usual. There are also linked all my materials that I've used and my social media if you want to get in touch with me. And yeah, if you're new to my channel and liked what you've seen, please give me a thumbs up and even better, subscribe to my video, click the bell icon to not miss out on any new videos. Well, you know how it works. And other than that, I hope to see you in my next videos. Have a great day. Bye bye.